So Trump finally gets indicted in Georgia, and this might be the most ridiculous case of all. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about former President Donald Trump getting indicted in Fulton County, Georgia, along with 18 other people in a RICO racketeering case in relation to their alleged effort to overturn the 2020 presidential election. The allegation is that there's a proper way to challenge the results of the election, but they, meaning Donald Trump and Team Trump and Trump affiliates, did not go about it in the right way. And if you read through the indictment, they're talking about there were some things on Twitter that Team Trump were saying that could undermine the 2020 presidential election. Yes, tweets. They're talking about tweets. They also said that they were trying to verify signatures, and the way they were doing that was not improper, and that also undermined the 2020 presidential election. There was all kind of stuff in the 97-page indictment with 41 total counts. Again, you have Trump and 18 other people, so a total of 19 people, 97 pages, 41 counts. Now, speaking about Trump specifically, when you add up the charges that he alone faces in this indictment, plus the 3 other indictments, the Stormy Daniels, classified documents, etc., you're talking about 91 charges just for Trump himself. And if he was to be convicted on all the charges, you're talking about 1,000 years in the penitentiary. Obviously, it's overkill. Obviously, you have prosecutorial misconduct. Obviously, this is a way to try and keep Trump out of the 2024 presidential election, because even if he doesn't get locked up, convicted, plea deal, anything like that, you still got to go to court. So rather than going to Wisconsin, Michigan, Iowa, you got a court date in Fulton County. You got a court date in Miami, Florida. You got a court date in New York City. You got all this court action going on, and you're spending a bunch of money and time and energy on fighting the case, on lawyers. It's obvious what's happening here. All right. Now, Fulton County specifically, this has got to be the jankiest case of all. Let me explain. So Monday morning, the indictment gets leaked on Reuters. The whole thing is just right there. But see, the problem is that a grand jury decides on what the indictment is going to be, but they hadn't decided yet. So how did the indictment get leaked before the grand jury reached a decision? It was a mess. So I think the grand jury was supposed to convene today, which is Tuesday. But since the indictment got leaked on Monday, they were rushed at the end of the day on Monday to bring forward the indictment, which resulted in the DA out there, Fani Willis, having a 12 midnight press conference. It was a complete ghetto mess. And then when the indictment came out from the grand jury, it was the same thing that was already published earlier. Reuters also published it when it was official. It was the same document. I feel like, and here's my opinion, they got it tipped off from Georgia, Reuters that is, they got tipped off like, okay, this is going to be the indictment. Here it is. When we publish it, y'all publish it, it's all good. They published it by accident on Georgia's website, on a legal website. So Reuters went ahead and put it up. But then Georgia deleted it, talking about, oh, that's fictitious. So then it took it down on Reuters as well. And then they put it right back up a few hours later. This whole thing is ridiculous. They had cameras all in the courtroom, not just facing the judge. They had cameras when they were going back in chambers. It was all kind of stuff. It's like, what in the reality show, Real Housewives of Fulton County District Court, what is going on here? It was a mess, and it's obvious what's going on. This investigation started back in 2021, right after the inauguration of Joe Biden, and it's just now ending, and you're just now having charges. You got everything happening sequentially. You got, within 4 or 5 months, you got 4 indictments of a former president, a thing that was unheard of. You never heard about a former president being charged like this or at all, although there have been situations where they should be charged. Or not even the former president. You're talking about former Speaker of the House or presidential candidate or president's son. This does not happen. We know what's going on here. Now, before I go any further into it, we got articles, we got videos, we got everything. I'm going to link to all this in the box, but here is an article that was talking about what I was saying about Reuters publishing the indictment, taking it down, and then a few hours later that same day, they put it right back up. Oh, yeah, now it's official. Now we could come out and say it. It was a foregone conclusion. The grand jury was irrelevant. They were going to charge Donald Trump regardless, plus 18 other people. Look, I was listening to the indictment live when they were reading it on Fox, and they kept naming name after name. I thought they might name my name because they named everybody else. Why not? They got Rudy Giuliani. I think they got Jenna Ellis, Mark Meadows, all kind of people in the indictment. For what, though? I mean, the most ridiculous ticky-tack stuff ever. Now, Trump responded on Truth Social to the actual indictment. He says this. It reads as follows. A large, complex, detailed, but irrefutable report on the presidential election fraud which took place in Georgia is almost complete and will be presented by me at a major news conference at 11 a.m. on Monday of next week in Bedminster, New Jersey. Based on the results of this conclusive report, all charges should be dropped against me and others. There will be a complete exoneration. They never went after those that rigged the election. They only went after those fought to find the riggers. Now, I don't think this will make a difference. You know, Trump could present his case, but it doesn't matter. It's a foregone conclusion that he was going to be indicted out there in Georgia on the RICO case, racketeering. It was already the same template used against Trump is what's being used against the rapper Young Thug. And I covered that before about YSL Mondo, Donovan Big Nut Thomas. I already covered that. And if you want to see that video, I'll link to it in the box. But it's the same thing. They got Young Thug on the same thing, a bunch of other affiliates. That's pretty much what Fani Willis does. So what you're saying right here doesn't make a difference, in my humble opinion. Now, speaking of Fani Willis, here she is talking about what's going on. And of course, again, I will link to all this in the description box below if you want to see it and hear it without my commentary.
Every individual charged in the indictment is charged with one count of violating Georgia's Racketeer, Influenced, and Corrupt Organizations Act.
That's RICO, R-I-C-O.
Through participation in a criminal enterprise in Fulton County, Georgia, and elsewhere to accomplish the illegal goal of allowing Donald J. Trump to seize the presidential term of office beginning on January 20th, 21.
How is it a RICO charge against Donald Trump? Like, you thinking, when I hear RICO, I'm thinking about the mob and gangs. You're going to link that to Donald Trump? I mean, but again, that's her template. She always does this.
Specifically, the participants in association took various actions in Georgia and elsewhere to block the counting of the votes of the presidential electors who were certified as the winners of Georgia's 2020 general election. The indictment alleges that rather than abide by Georgia's legal process for election challenges, the defendants engaged in a criminal racketeering enterprise to overturn Georgia's presidential election result. Subsequent to the indictment, as is the normal process in Georgia law, the grand jury issued arrest warrants for those who are charged. I am giving the defendants the opportunity to voluntarily surrender no later than noon on Friday, the 25th day of August, 2023.
So that'd be next week?
Do I intend to try the 19 defendants in this indictment together?
So that's that. Now, here's something. I was looking at various clips, and they said that there will be a mugshot. They said that anyone involved, anyone who's going to be arrested, they will go through the same process as anybody else. So there won't be any special treatment. Before, in different places, I think in New York, Florida, et cetera, they didn't do any mugshots. There's been no actual Donald Trump mugshots, but there will be one here from what they said. That could change because it's kind of janky down there in Fulton County, so it could change. But if they do that, that's going to be a big campaign boost for Donald Trump. Can you imagine the merch sales of mugshots? I can imagine Donald Trump printing those off and signing them and selling those on the website for a lot of money, and they would sell for sure. Here's some interesting video as well. Rachel Maddow had Hillary Clinton on. Now, if anyone on the left tries to tell you that Donald Trump is somehow unique when it comes to questioning the election, show them this.
That the system of democracy at its heart is the idea that the people get to decide how we are governed. And if we no longer believe that our will is effectuated through the system, if bad actors tell us falsely that every election is stolen and that the only way an election is trustworthy is if they come out on top of it, then something it tells you something not just about that person or that moment. It maybe wounds us as a democracy and in a way that is hard to repair. What do you think about how we get better after the wounds that have been inflicted on us through this process?
Well, I think, the truth matters. I think having these cases be brought in such professional manners, we'll see how they unfold. Obviously, the trials, if there are trials, are going to be critically important. But the article you mentioned that I published about the weaponization of loneliness really does, in my view, point to the larger cultural concerns, because the lack of trust, the divisiveness, the undermining of faith in ourselves, in each other, respect for our institutions, the rule of law, all of that has been deliberately inculcated within our body politic. There were trends before.
Let's pause right there. So you get the idea. Rachel Maddow is talking about the trials, the charges that Trump faces, and questioning the election, saying that it was stolen and it's not, and we got to have trust. That's what they're saying right here, and Hillary Clinton pretty much agrees. But watch this. This was right after she lost the 2016 election. Let's see what she said right here. Hillary Clinton, check it out.
I think it's also critical to understand that, as I've been telling candidates who have come to see me, you can run the best campaign, you can even become the nominee, and you can have the election stolen from you.
Okay, so you're talking about having an election stolen and you were the nominee, and but you're saying something different right here. You're saying something different. You sound just like Trump, don't you? But it's okay when she does it. It's no problem when she does it. Okay, now, and here's Rachel Maddow saying a similar thing from a while ago. Check it out.
We are still every day dealing with this question of whether or not our president was chosen, not just because of a foreign intelligence operation. We're grappling with this existential question as to whether his campaign was part of that foreign intelligence operation. Russia, Vladimir Putin, Russia.
So you get the idea right there. It's going to be a montage, Russia. But aren't the left the people that said that everything, that the election was stolen, that it wasn't legitimate, that Russia was involved? Aren't they the ones that said that? Aren't they the ones that said that Trump didn't win and he stole it from Hillary Clinton? Didn't they say that? But now all of a sudden, when Trump has similar questions about the 2020 election, all of a sudden, you tinfoil hat, denying the election, unconstitutional, un-American. Cool when you do it, problem when I do it. That's what's going on right here. And all this stuff, as I close, all this stuff with the charges, racketeering, 91 different counts, 1,000 years potentially behind bars in the penitentiary. All this is an effort to keep Donald Trump out of office. And it kind of goes against the whole thing about election rigging when you're talking about just ballots. Like, that's not really the way to go about it as I close. The actual rigging or interference or whatever word you want to use is by doing things like this, by poisoning the well, by telling people, hey, this guy's a criminal, he's a crook, don't vote for him, he's not going to be able to make it. He's got 1,000 years behind bars he's facing, 91 charges, 4 different cases all over the country. He's a crook, he's a criminal, he's a thief, he's a liar, don't vote for him. That's the real fraud right there. Not so much about the ballots. That's not really it. It's about poisoning your mind so you go out there and vote a particular way that is against your best interests. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your thoughts on what's going on here in Fulton County? The whole process, the indictment getting leaked, the actual charges, 19 people total, including Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani, all these people, whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. It's a big time Dog and Pony show to keep Trump out of the White House. Again, they don't want that. They don't want a guy that's actually going to be a leader and lead from the front. They want a puppet, a guy that can just control and tell them to do whatever they want them to do. They don't want a real leader in there. That is a problem. It ain't nothing else to it. It's very simple once you're able just to open your eyes and see. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.